You are Locked On Dolphins POSTCAST. Part of Locked On Sports Miami on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What is up, Fins fans, and what a win today. Hey, listen, I'm not one to go too crazy when it comes to a victory. It's just a win. It's on the road. It's at New England. It's a division game. Yes, a huge win for the Miami Dolphins, but I will tell you what, man, that was a nail-biter, and that was a tough one. That was a win on the road that you had to have at this point because of what you put yourself in situation-wise, but for the Miami Dolphins to do what they did, they scored the last 13 points in this game. For the defense to step up, for the offensive line, gut check time. There's a lot of things that you love about this game, a lot of things you love about this performance as a Miami Dolphins fan, a lot of things that you can build on and grow with as they come away with the win at Foxborough. Not pretty against the New England Patriots. We know this. We accept this. A win is a win is a win, especially with Tua out, with the way that this year's gone. You're not getting the ball to your weapons. Nothing's really happening in that facet of the game. You're still not doing that. Got a little bit with Tyreek today, but they pulled it out. They scored the last 13 points in the game. It was gut check time in a major way for the offensive line, for the defensive line. That was where they realized they had to win this game. They're not getting the ball to their skill guys. Their $200+ million quarterback is out. Their $500 million skill position players are not coming through. They have not been finding ways to get the ball to them, and so they had to do it up front. They did it with the offensive line. They did it with the defensive line. That's how your Miami Dolphins won this game, and they won it in the purest form, the purest sense possible of football. No, I'm not talking about field goals. I'm talking about up front, blocking, scheming, making plays, tackles, fundamental football for your Miami Dolphins. First things first, I want to let you know that I thank you, and we all thank you profusely every day. We love that you are here, and we appreciate the fact that you're making Locked On Dolphins POSTCAST your first watch, your first listen every day on the Locked On Podcast Network, as well as here on YouTube, Locked On Sports Miami, your team every day. Locked On Dolphins every day as well with Kyle Krabs, which is really good show. He keeps you informed. He's there every day, focused on the Fins, 100%, day in, day out, the moves, things that they've done all year. It's a great show, and you want to make sure that you check that out every chance that you get. And then I'm here after the postcast, or do the postcast after every game. So interesting, though. On the road at New England, look, you didn't think this would happen, right? Tua's out, Skylar's out, Tyler Huntley's been with the team 3 weeks, and you're all of a sudden scrambling. You're all of a sudden struggling. You're all of a sudden playing Tennessee. But I think the offensive and defensive lines actually finally realized, like, hey, right? Anybody can talk about the quarterback and the mistakes that Tyler Huntley made last week. Anybody can talk about fumbles, interceptions. Anybody can talk about big plays given up. And those things really actually hurt the Dolphins. And we talked about the Dolphins not being able to get the ball to their skill position players, which a little bit more of an effort made today, but still woefully short. And with the bye week, they have some work to do. But coming off a win at 2-3. I said it with the Miami Hurricanes last night. Shout out to the Canes. Comeback Cam, cardiac Cam. 6-0 for Miami. It's a lot easier coming off a win. Last week, a bad loss to Tennessee. You got beat up on the line of scrimmage. You let them make plays that they should never have made. Their backup quarterback sucked less than your backup quarterback sucked. And that was really how they won that game. Coming off a loss, it stings. Coming off a loss, it hurts. The Miami Hurricanes are lucky, right? Nick Saban says it. The worst thing you can do is win a game when you play poorly because it's fool's gold. You think you're still good, but you're not. The Miami Hurricanes are in that boat right now. They have a bye week to fix things that are wrong. The Dolphins came out and gutted out a win. It's a little different than what Nick Saban's saying today. Sorry to rub it in, Fins fans, on the Saban thing, but it's a little bit different than what Nick Saban was saying. And what I mean by that is to win a game like they won it today, when they didn't play well for most of the game, come back in the second half, put together that drive when they had to score the touchdown. Ingold punches it in. Tyler Huntley got it done. Brisset didn't. Brissett's terrible. Huntley's terrible. It's the NFL. How are these guys so bad? We should have another show and another conversation. Maybe Locked On NFL should do a show on quarterbacks. How is the drop-off so bad when there's only 100 of you in the world? There's 100 of you in the world. How is the drop-off so bad from 1 to 2 on most teams? And from 2 to 3, forget it. It's the continental divide. How is that the case when there's 100 of you in the world? That's what I don't understand. But I really, truly believe that the Dolphins came to a point today in the locker room at halftime, coaches, players, team only, whatever it was, it's going to come out. It was gut check time. It was, how much of a man are you? How bad do you want it? You know what I mean? What are your verbs? Never mind your pronouns. What are your verbs? Okay. We don't care what your pronouns are in a football locker room. We care what your verbs are. And if your verbs are win, dominate, even smaller things like focus, execute, those are your verbs. Who cares about anything else? Your verbs. What are your verbs? The Dolphins figured out what their verbs were in the second half. And they figured out that, hey, on the line of scrimmage, up front, against this team, to a man, we're tired of getting beat. We're tired of getting pushed back. We're tired of committing penalties. We're tired of having our running backs go for no yardage. We're tired of having our quarterbacks throw for nothing because they're getting hit too soon and they're getting hurt. We're tired of having Tua out with the concussion and Skylar out with the rib. We're tired of getting people hurt and not playing well. We're tired of being dominated up front. That's a mindset. It's an attitude. It's why you're in the gym every day. It's why you're lifting weights. It's why you're learning the playbook. Yeah, leverage, positioning, everything. But at a certain point, scheming, all those things are important and super important in the NFL. And I know this because I've covered the league for 30 years, and I've talked to everybody you could imagine about this. Execution is important. It is. But NFL games are won and lost on the front lines, okay? It's the offensive line and the defensive line. And every NFL game is won and lost up front. Every single one. I don't care how many Tyreek Hills and Jalen Waddles and even Jalen Wright, who was fantastic today. And I said it in preseason. If you guys were watching Locked On Dolphins postcast during preseason, he'll be the starter by the end of the year. You can't count on Mostert's knees. Achan's hurt again. He's out today. Jalen Wright by the end of the year. He was the best running back on the field today for either team. Jalen Wright. So that was fantastic by him. He was terrific in this game as a rookie. But there comes a point in every game, in every season, and today it was in a game, in a season, they got tired of being pushed around. They got a gift from Jacksonville. They got mauled by Buffalo, destroyed by Tennessee. They got a gift from Jacksonville when ATN fumbled. Otherwise, they'd have one win. Count it, right? So there comes a time when those guys up front, in the 50s and 60s and 70s uniform numbers. And when the guys up front on the other side of the ball, on the defensive side, there come those times when those guys need to look in the mirror, when those guys need to look at each other in the eyes and say, you are not getting it done. Sometimes it's the mirror, sometimes it's the teammate. You're not getting it done. The offensive line wasn't getting it done. The defensive line, the front seven, not getting it done. They were not getting it done. They were getting pushed around again. And at a certain point in the second half of this game, in the locker room probably, but in the second half of this game, you have to do it on the field. It isn't in the locker room where it happens. On the field, they looked at each other and they said, enough of this, man. Enough of this. We're men. We got lunch pails here. We might be wearing teal. No, I'm kidding. You know what I'm saying? But come on, it was gut check time. That's what I'm talking about. That's all this game was. I saw enough from Tyler Huntley down the stretch they come. I saw enough on those drives from a leadership standpoint. Is he going to make the throws that most quarterbacks can't make? Is he going to do what Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson did today? Oh, my Lord, in that game. Are you kidding me? Quarterback at the highest level, the best you can ever see it played. Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson today, Baltimore and Cincy. Go watch those highlights, bro. Girl, I'm telling you right now, that was how you... No, Huntley's not going to remind you of that. He's never going to play like that. I mean, he was learning from Lamar as recently as a couple of weeks ago. But no, he's not going to remind you of Lamar Jackson. And he's definitely not going to be Joe Burrow. But neither is Jacoby Brisset. The New England Patriots stink. Bill Belichick's the luckiest guy in the world. He's eating steak, flying in. He's flying in on Thursday to do a TV show on Sunday, getting $1 million a day per diem, staying in a $100,000 a night hotel room, being driven back and forth in limos to the TV studio instead of coaching his team. And next year, he'll get a $100 million deal to coach somewhere else, hopefully from the Cowboys, because then they'll stink even longer. Or maybe the Dolphins if McDaniel fails. But I like McDaniel. And I'll say this. The gut check came at the right time today for Miami. It came at the right time in this game. And as you noticed in the second half, they scored the final 13 points of this game. It came. And when something like that happens, it literally came down to who wanted it more. It came down to that gut check. It's a beautiful thing that happened. We're happy that it happened. It shouldn't have taken that for it to take place. It shouldn't have come to that. It really shouldn't have. But it did, and we're happy that it did. You get to 2-3, you got the bye, you got a couple more winnable games in a row coming up. Indy doesn't look as easy now, but Jacksonville got that. You know what I mean? Indy you could steal that one. You got the Cardinals. They're a bag of tricks in and of themselves, man. They could beat anybody in this league. They could lose to anybody in this league. They could blow out teams. They could get blown out with Kyler Murray. You don't know what you're going to get with the Cardinals. Life is like a box of Cardinals. You never know what you're going to get. That's what I'm saying. But the Dolphins could theoretically end up 4-3. They could end up 4-3 after the next 3 weeks, the bye and then those next two games. You're at 4-3 the way you've played. The ball doesn't get to your weapons. Tua's been out. The running backs have been hurt. Nobody played in the preseason. The offensive and defensive lines have never really played together as a cohesive unit from day one in the preseason. And you'd still be 4-3 if you can somehow figure out a way to get these next two games. And the way that they did it today is the way they're going to have to do those next two. It's gut check time. Every single person, dig a little deeper, run a little faster, hit a little harder, get a little more dirt on you. You know what I'm saying? It's Locked On Dolphins Postcast. My name's Jim Greasehaber. Call me Grease. We're going to step aside. I'm not going anywhere. You're not either. But in the interest of the show, I'm going to give you some information, going to, put you on some game as we always do. And then we'll come back and we'll talk more about that gut check time, about when every man in that white jersey today had to look himself in the eye, look his teammate in the eye, take accountability and say, hey, I am not going out like this, because it was pathetic. They played 6 quarters of pathetic football. And you add the Bills game before that. I mean, yeah, it was so without Tua, it's even worse. You could say it's 10 quarters of pathetic football. And after 10 quarters, Seattle, 10 quarters, Tennessee, 10 quarters, the first 2 in New England, the whole game, then the first 2 today, they finally looked in their eyes, in each other's eyes or in the mirror, and they said, no more. No more. My effort I can control. My will I can impose. My talent I can release. And we can win this game. And they did it. They actually did it. Great job by the Miami Dolphins. I don't care what the score was. I don't care what the highlights are. I don't care who scored what or who did what. A win is a win is a win. In the NFL, when you're fighting for the playoffs down the stretch, what does it matter? Did you cover? Who cares? 15-10 at New England. You won the game. And as Herm Edwards said, you play to win the game. Locked On Dolphins Postcast. Jim Greasehaber. Call me Grease at Jim Grease _ rolling on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. And I get to talk to you, my small business owners. I'm one myself, and you know this, man. Yes, I'm doing the shows on Locked On. Yes, I'm hosting on ESPN Radio, but I'm a small business. That's right. I have clients. I have sponsors on the side. I do my things, and I am always looking for good people. And when I'm hiring for my small business, as you should too, I want to find quality professionals who are right for the role. That's why I have to check out, and you do too, LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. Think about that, for free. It's an embarrassment of riches at LinkedIn Jobs. It's not just a job board. It helps you hire professionals. You can't find them anywhere else. They're on LinkedIn. They got it like that. Even those who aren't actively searching for a new job, they might be open for the perfect role. They're like, I got it everything, but if I can only get this, yeah, they're on LinkedIn too, and they're looking. So in a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users do not visit other job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours on LinkedIn. You hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. LinkedIn knows small businesses wearing way too many hats might not have the time or the resources to hire. LinkedIn's constantly finding ways to make the process easier. They even just launched a feature that helps you write job descriptions, making the process even easier and quicker. Gotta love that AI, man. 2.5 small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring. That was supposed to be 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring. And you know what? I'm one of them, and you should be too, without a doubt. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnfl. That's free. LinkedIn.com/lockedonnfl to post your job. And again, it's FREE, free at LinkedIn Jobs. It's unbelievable, right? LinkedIn.com/LockedOnNFL is all you need to do to get started. Terms and conditions apply. Also, I want to talk to you about BetterHelp. It's interesting because we really drop the knowledge with our sponsors here on the Locked On Podcast Network. I've been doing this 30 years. One of the things I insist upon is that when I read a commercial, when I do a spot, I want to make sure it's a product or a service that I use myself. I want to make sure it's a product or service, a company that I feel comfortable recommending to you, the people who feed me and my family. And that's for real, straight up. So anything that doesn't fit, if it does not fit, I must get rid of it. You see what I did there? Exactly. So BetterHelp. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. And BetterHelp is absolutely amazing. BetterHelp is something that all of you should be a part of. It's something that all of you should check out and take a look at. And it really is BetterHelp. You know what I mean? And help is really important in this day and age. And we all have things that scare us, right? What is something that scares you? For me, what scares me is, not having anybody watching my shows, first and foremost. You know what I mean? No matter how big or small your fears are, you need help. We all need help. And we all have those fears. We all have those things that hit us a certain way. And we know that therapy is a great tool for facing your fears and finding ways to overcome them. Halloween's coming up, but people could be afraid of that. But what about fears that don't involve zombies and ghosts, right? Sometimes the scariest thing is not facing our fears in the first place and holding ourselves back. So I've benefited from therapy. As a child, they put me in therapy. As an adult, I've been in therapy. My lady's in therapy. My kids are in therapy. All of us are in therapy. We're all works in progress. We're all trying as best we can to make it through this life, to get through the day by day. Therapy helps me so much, just to stay grounded, just to have someone to talk to who doesn't have a dog in the fight. I talk to my lady about something that's bothering me. She answers me from her perspective because she wants me to be a certain way that'll help her and our relationship. My kids the same. They want what they want. It's human nature. Why does he do me that way? Therapy gives you something that you need without all that, right? So if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, suited to your schedule, everything you want out of it. All you need to do, fill out a brief questionnaire, get matched with a licensed therapist, switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. I've done that many times. Hey man, no offense, but I can't get anything from you anymore. I'm going on to the next one. So overcome your fears with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/lockedon today. Get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedon for BetterHelp. And I will tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, I have been in counseling and therapy my entire life. And look at me, I'm completely fine. I'm totally good, right? And, Mike McDaniel was in therapy for sure after the last couple of games. But after 10 quarters of being pushed around, after 10 quarters of being thrown all over the field, after 10 quarters of being told, you're my bitch on the football field, the Miami Dolphins offensive and defensive linemen finally looked in the mirror, looked at each other and said, hey, enough of this. Enough is enough. It's time to suit up. It's time to boot up. It's time to man up and hit somebody in the mouth. And that's what they did today in this game. That's exactly what they did in the second half of this game. I don't have the second half numbers, but I do know they scored 13 unanswered points in a row. Sanders with the field goals, 32 and 47. Ingold, the 3-yard run, and it should have been 18-10. Remember, they had the penalty on the field goal toward the end of the half, caused the botched snap. Terrible snap, by the way. But Sanders with the field goals today, 3 of them, and then Ingold with the 3-yard run, and they fail on the 2, and then they got the ball back and didn't pick up a first down. So it isn't like Huntley, look, he's serviceable. But I'll say this, man, the dude got here. If I'm gonna ask you a question, Dolph fan, right now, let me ask you this right now. If I were to tell you that Tua Tagovailoa would have been out with a concussion, if I'd have told you that a career would be hanging in the balance that could be so beautiful, that could have led to Super Bowls, that could have led to the greatest quarterback ever wearing the Dolphins uniform since Dan Marino, if that all ends now and nothing ever comes of the Tua era, if I were to tell you you'd be sitting here right now without Skylar Thompson even, with a third-string quarterback coming off games at Seattle and against Tennessee where you were dominated up front. And you're like, damn, we spent all our money on the skill positions and we don't have anybody to block. We spent all our money on the skill positions and we don't have anybody to tackle up front, to rush the passer, to stop the run, to plug the holes, to fill the gaps. We don't have those people because we spent all the money on playmakers. People in that building realized that wasn't true, but fans were panicking. I know, I was taking the calls. I was reading the chat stuff. By the way, smash the subscribe button, the bell, and the like. But what I would ask you is if you were told before the season, if I were to have sat here after one of those preseason games when nobody on the first string played, when Tua didn't play, played one drive the whole preseason has become nothing. So the regular season starts and the first two games are really preseason games. But if I'd have told you a month and a half, 2 months ago that Tua would be out, that you'd be playing with a third string quarterback, and that you'd be on the road at New England in a division game, in a must-win game, and you had to win this game with a third string quarterback who was on another team 3 weeks ago running their practice squad. You signed a practice squad quarterback who's been here 3 weeks, and he got you a road win at New England. Would you not have taken that? Would you not have been happy as a clam? New England reference. Right? You won the game with Huntley quarterbacking at New England. It's a division game. It's like 1.5 wins. It's like 1.5. It's a huge win today. Tennessee, yeah, you could have won that game. Maybe you should have won that game. Buffalo was a lost cause. Jacksonville gave you a gift. Tennessee and Jacksonville cancel each other out. Should have beat Tennessee. And even then, you probably shouldn't have. So I'm giving you a gift by saying you could have canceled that out. It was gut check time, and they checked those guts. And they checked them good. You know what I'm saying? And they like what they got. That was impressive. That was very impressive. Huntley made the throws when he needed to. The poise was there. He's still Huntley. You know, he's not going to make great throws, but he's still Huntley. The poise was there, right? I'm smashing the microphone. And everybody up front, offense and defense, said, it's time to hit someone in the mouth. Because that's what they needed to do, and they did it. You're watching your Locked On Dolphins postcast. My name is Jim Greasehaber. Call me Grease, and I am ready to drop you some more knowledge, put you up on a little bit more game. And then at the end of the show, after this break, we're going to look ahead. We're going to take the positives away from today's game. I think the actual recap is probably up, but I've been so hung up on up front because none of it matters. They got Tyreek a little bit more involved. Waddle had a catch or two. Yeah, Mostert came back, ran the ball pretty well. Jalen Wright, those two guys, smash mouth football, but that was because they made a choice. Mike McDaniel did, or somebody did. They made a choice, and every single man followed suit. Every single one up front, every single Ingold, every single offensive and defensive lineman, they made a choice. We're not getting bitch slapped all over this field anymore. We're not getting pushed around anymore like we have been by the Seahawks, like we have been by the Titans, like the Patriots have been doing to us in this game. And the Miami Dolphins, offensive and defensive linemen, decided to come out and assert themselves, take control of this game, and win this game. And that's what they did. That is exactly what they did. That's how they did it. So with all those skill guys and everything else, that's how they won the game. You're watching Locked On Dolphins postcast. Jim Greasehaber, call me Grease. Going to put you on game and come back and finish it up in just a minute. Look ahead. Look at the star of the game. Look at the turning point. Look at all those things. Locked On Dolphins postcast and the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Oh, and you know what's coming because you know NFL fans and Dolphin fans where you get the biggest return for your money at FanDuel. A big return on FanDuel is waiting for you at America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch, what's going on in this game here? In the middle of a game, right? You can check out the latest stats. You can view the play-by-play live and so much more right there on the same page where you place your bets. You can place your bets. You can watch the game, check out the stats, all of it right there at FanDuel. You'll get started on top of that with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet at FanDuel.com. That's FanDuel.com. $200 bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet at FanDuel.com. And I love FanDuel. What an awesome, awesome place to be. And I'll tell you what, you could have gotten paid today if you'd have listened to me up there in FanDuel. So the Dolphins 15, the Pats 10 defense. Look at what they did in the second half. I mean, I'm going to read you the team stats overall. 24-15, Miami won the first down battle. You know what I mean? 4 for 13 on third down, better than 2 for 11 for New England. Total plays, they ran 20 more plays. They gained almost 100 more yards. Total drives 11, but Miami did more with the ball than New England did. 179 to 148 passing yards, both terrible. Both guys stink. We get that. Sacks 3 for 15, 2 for 12. Rushing 193 yards for Miami. That's where they brought it. In the second, I told you it was a choice. My old radio partner, Bill Lewis, when I lived in Arizona, played 10 years in the NFL. Played for the Cardinals, played for the Raiders, played Nebraska All-American, played in New England too with Bledsoe. And he told me it's a choice to run the football. It's a choice. You're firing off that ball and it's mano-y-mano. It's a choice, man. It's a choice in here. It's a choice, and that's what the choice that they made today. Miami did. The penalties, New England killed themselves. They gave the Dolphins a gift today, 12 for 105. 12 for 105 for New England. They're killing. And then their radio guy, Scott Zolak, their analyst, is losing his mind during this game. It's funny. Miami had 2 turnovers to New England's none. They fumbled the ball a million times, only lost a couple of them. They threw an interception, and they had the ball for 9 more minutes. But it was a weird game from the standpoint of the skill just wasn't there overall. It just wasn't. But I will say this for Miami in the second half, right? Down the stretch they come when it mattered the most for the Dolphins. When it mattered the most for Miami, they field goal, touchdown. 3 of their last 4 drives. And a punt on their last one. They were just taking it down. You know, Mostert ran for 5 yards on a first down play, rather. Mostert 1 yard, and then Mostert 3 yards. And so they gained 9 yards on 3 plays. And that was that. You know, they didn't even throw the ball with Huntley there, so can't put that on him. But when they needed it the most in the second half, New England got a field goal. And then after that, New England kicked their field goal. And that was at 38-yard field goal at 11:01. 11:01 of the third quarter, and New England didn't score again after that. So you think the third quarter. So you go 11:01 of the third quarter. So the last 26 minutes of this game, New England did not score. 26 and change, the Miami defense shut them out. 26 and change, the Dolphins held the football. They went 3-14, 8 plays, kicked a field goal. 9 plays, 5-15, kicked another field goal. 15 plays, 80 yards, 7-36. So they went more than 14 minutes with the football, keeping the New England offense on the sideline, and their defense did what they had to do when they got their opportunity. So up front, scheme-wise, everything was great, but those guys on the offensive and defensive lines, the front 5 on offense, 6 if you count the tight end, front 7 on defense, really did their job for Miami toward the end of this game. In the second half is when it all happened, and that's when they took advantage of everything and made it happen, brought the win home. Great win that way. So whenever you dominate a team and those game balls be handed out, you feel really good about this from the standpoint of, hey, you know you got your third-string quarterback playing. You know now Achane is out and Mostert's playing and Wright's your leading rusher, but those guys are interchangeable. You ran for 190-plus when you needed to. That was the offensive lineman. You grab those guys by the shirt and you say, I don't care if Larry Zonka's back there or Jim Kick or Mercury Morris. Shout out to Merck, R.I.P. Merck, and Jim Kick, too, who passed away before him. But that backfield, very special. The undefeated team, very special. And as you know, I've been a sportscaster in Miami for 30 years, and I know Mercury Morris very well. R.I.P. There's no one you'd rather sit around and hear tell stories about himself than Merck, because Merck loved Merck. And Merck loved those 72 Dolphins. He loved to talk about his role on that team, loved to talk all about it. But it wouldn't matter if you had Merck back there, or Zonka, or Kick, or Sammy Smith fumbling the ball away, or Troy Stradford. It wouldn't matter if you had Ronnie Brown or Ricky Williams. It would not matter. Lamar Miller, whoever you throw back there, Dolphins past, Dolphins present, it would not matter because they're not running the football unless the guys up front make a choice to do it, and that's what they did. That's what they did today. Props to the offensive line. Props to the defensive line. They should be the star of the game. They should be, and we're going to get to that in a minute. They should be all that. They should be all that and a bag of chips for the Dolphins today. And when we're looking at the scores real quick, we'll hit the recap, and then we'll get on out of here. Looking at the stats for Miami, the individual stats. Tyler Huntley, 18 of 31, 194. No touchdowns and a pick, sacked 3 times for minus 15 yards. He fumbled the ball as well. Jalen Wright led the team in rushing. Now, if you were watching me throughout preseason, and I don't know what Kyle does on Locked On Dolphins. Shout out to Locked On Dolphins. Kyle Krabs every day, checking him out on the Locked On Podcast Network. But I said Jalen Wright's the best running back on this team in preseason. It's very easy to see. He was a superstar in college. He has that extra burst. They have 3 guys with that burst, but HN was hurt. He played really well earlier this year. Mostert, I heard inside sources telling me that his knees are shot. 19 carries, 80 yards today, 13 for 86 for Wright. I love the tailbacks for this team. So if this offensive line can continue this mindset of just move forward, push forward, dominate the line of scrimmage, these running backs are really good, man. OBJ's coming back to the receivers. You have Waddle, you have Tyreek. Play it close to the vest. Man, if Tua must be coming back. For them not to be making moves at the quarterback position right now, hey, Tom Brady, Tua must be coming back. More on that in a minute. But HN, before he got hurt, 3 for 18 yards. Receiving-wise, best game in a while for Tyreek Hill, 6 for 69. Not good. I mean, for a guy who's voted #1 player in the league by his peers before the season, that's crap. 6 for 60. They can't get him the ball. He's bracketed. He's covered everywhere. Smith, the tight end, I like him a lot. I like Jonnu Smith. He's 5 for 62 today, long of 17. Jalen Waddle, 4 for 46. The numbers are better than they have been, but still not good. Raheem had 2 for 18. Not much for the running backs out of the backfield, but the fumbles, man, they fumbled the ball 5 times today. They're lucky they got a lot of them back. And the defense really stepped up, man. Marcus May played a hell of a game. 5 solo tackles. Jordan Brooks again. 3 weeks in a row, he's been phenomenal. Number 20 out there killing it. Jalen Ramsey, look, man, he gets the toughest job every week as a shutdown corner. He played another fantastic game. Kohuau had 2 tackles for loss, and that was phenomenal. You know, they had a bunch of tackles behind the line of scrimmage today. Agba had 1. You know what I mean? So I think the defense has really stepped up and started playing well. So if you're looking at player of the game and things like that, the defense would definitely be up there when you are talking about those things. You're watching Locked On Dolphins Postcast. Jim Greasehaber, call me Grease on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Don't forget, Kyle's going to have one coming up soon, tomorrow, the next day as well, to get you updated on injuries and things like that. We finally got the recap ready. They finally put that up, and we'll hit that, and then we will hit our players of the game and so forth. But it really is encouraging when you think about the team portion of the win today, and it's really hard to pick a star of the game. And the moment was easy. The moment was easy when the guys up front decided to start, playing like they wanted to win this game. The guys up front decided to dominate, and they did the entire second half. And that's something that the Miami Dolphins really hadn't done. The Jacksonville game was a bit of that, It really was. It was a little bit of that. And the fumble was a gift, obviously it was a huge gift. And when they got that gift, they took it and they beat Jacksonville. And it turned out to be like Jacksonville wasn't that good and so forth. And we know New England's not good. We absolutely know that New England is not good. So you have to win the games that you play, right? You can't do anything about your competition. And I'm typing as I say that. And I'm sorry, guys. But honestly, the most important thing, above and beyond anything else, and yeah, you got to put Jordan in there. The most important thing is to win the game, but it's a division game. It's on the road, but not more important than winning the game, but as important, equally important, is at that moment, whether it was in the locker room, in that moment, whether it was on the sideline, in that moment, whether it was on the field in the huddle, whenever it was, when every single player wearing the Dolphins uniform looked each other in the eye and said, no more. They're not winning the battle of heart. They're not winning the battle of guts. They might have more talent. They might have better players at these positions. But my one-on-one battle, my leverage, my block, my job on that field play-by-play, I can win one-on-one. I can beat my guy. And you start from there. And that's what we should do in this country. Never mind who the president is. Start with your life, your job, your family, your community, and go out from there instead of going all the way to the top and trying to come back that way. That isn't the way that it works, man. And the Dolphins don't really have a star of the game. You know what I mean? They just don't. But I'm about to give you one. Because it's my job. I got work to do. I got a job, baby. And when you see who it is, you be happy. You will be happy. All right, so we're going to download these. We're going to throw them up there for you toward the end of the show. And it's a lot of fun doing this, like on the fly. I feel so alive for the very first time. All right, so there we go. Sloppy 15-10 win victory over the New England Patriots. Can we still call them the Patriots? It's not too late for that, is it? No. Okay, so here we go. We're going to read you the recap a little bit. We're going to pick through it. We're going to give you the star of the game, the turning point of the game, and we are going to give you the final score graphic. And then we're going to get out of here, and we're going to get you ready for what's going to be a great week because you're 2-3 with a division win, a big division win. And remember, your other wins against Jacksonville, so now you have 2 conference wins. You have 2 conference wins, and that's a big deal for Miami. Now, you've lost to Buffalo, you've lost to Seattle, you've lost to Tennessee. So you have 2 conference losses, and you have 1 division loss. Now you have 2 conference wins and a division win. And look, you still haven't gotten your rookies, Chop and Patrick Paul, and Jalen Wright's been great. Malik Washington, and these guys still haven't given you the big contributions that you're hoping for. The injured players, the Tyreek Hill situation, Tua, the uncertainty, we don't know. But what we do know is that they picked up a big win today. All right, I'm dangerously late. So Alec Ingold, the go-ahead touchdown, 3-yard run with 4 minutes left for Miami. Jason Sanders kicked 3 field goals, should have been 4. The bad snap, the other one was good. It was just, 3 botched kicks by the Dolphins special teams, and they still manage, okay? So 2 of the worst teams in the league so far. So many penalties, missed kicks, clock management issues. Each team only scoring 1 touchdown. And that, you know what I mean? That's as nice as I can be. That's as positive as I can say. And, New England had a touchdown catch overturned. And it's kind of funny. Their play-by-play guys were going nuts. And, 4 seconds left in the game. They catch the ball at the middle of the field on the 11-yard line of the Dolphins, and they're unable to do anything there because they run out of time. And so, comedy of errors. We understand that, and we've talked about that. The skill players aren't there, the comedy of errors, the execution. Alarming how the execution can go from bad to worse so quickly in the NFL when you take a couple starters out. Quarterbacks, there's 100 of you in the freaking world, bro. How do you drop off that badly? How? I think there should be an investigation. I demand an investigation. I don't know why I did that. Anyway, so Jalen Wright, Tyreek Hill, they made the plays when they needed to. The Dolphins had lost 3 games in a row, 3 backups since Tua got hurt, and, that was in week 3. And, the Patriots are fumbling the ball away, and it just, the heel coming down on the line, very close play, that would have changed things in this game dramatically. So that you're looking at all these things that happen in an NFL game. The odds makers are incredible, right? Every game you're watching, Bengals, Ravens, everything, it all comes down to a play or two, right? Every single time. So, yeah, Miami's defense held when they needed to. They got things done. Week 1, they had their only lead of the game in week 1 was the field goal at the end of the game to win it. And Sanders kicked the field goal. He's the player of the game today. That gave them that was the field goal that gave them the lead for the second time this year. The first one was in the first game against Jacksonville. So pretty crazy, right? And then he missed a 41-yarder, doinked it off the upright. Blake Ferguson rolls the ball to the holder. They also had a blocked punt in this game. Clock mismanagement, mistimed snaps. Just, oh my God. And we talked about it during the preseason, guys not playing together, new players coming in. It's absolutely been a comedy of errors and a disaster for Miami. Achane left with a concussion in the first half, didn't return. Javon Holland's been great all year. He left the game with a hand injury. Odell Beckham was active in this game, targeted twice, did not have a catch. Fins off next week. They play Indianapolis on October the 20th. All right, let's wrap this thing up and get on out of here. Your Dolphins postcast, Locked On Dolphins postcast, Jim Greasehaber, call me Grease. And we are about to hit you with my favorite part of the show every week. We have some new graphics that they made for me. We have a player of the game, we have a turning point of the game, and we have got a final score graphic. So hopefully all things work the way that they should. and we will be on out of here. So, yeah, the media is going to paint it negative. Yeah, they did it with the Hurricanes game last night. And by the way, I'm here after every Hurricanes game, every Dolphins game, every Heat game, every Marlins, and hopefully the Panthers this year with your Locked On podcast for the Miami teams, the South Florida teams. And I just really hope that well, I'm just going to get, because the Dolphins won this game. So the national media will portray it just like they did the Canes yesterday, right? The media portrays this game as, and I don't consider myself to be media. I'm an entertainer. I've been, and I've done this for a long time. I've had a lot of success, radio, TV, streaming. I work for ESPN now. I'll be on tonight across the country on ESPN radio. I don't consider myself to be media, but the media during the game last night, they want the Hurricanes to lose. They wanted that play to be a targeting call. They wanted it to be overturned and for the Hurricanes to lose that game. The Dolphins, Patriots today took a lot of shots. This is a terrible game. Two of the worst teams not executing. Two of the worst teams in the league. Two of the worst quarterbacks. They're out there doing the best they can. Yeah, the drop-off from Tua is huge. Yeah, the drop-off from number 1 to number 2, number 3 for most teams, it's way too big. It's way bigger than it ever should be. When you're in the NFL, agreed. Right? Yeah, you should be able to win the game up front. Oh, my God, they pay all the money to Hill and Waddle and Tua. And, yeah, okay, they do. But it's still the NFL. And you still saw today some very skilled and very good players for the Miami Dolphins. You saw some very good players take charge of and take control of this game and win it for them in the end. All right, here we go. So we'll get to the star of the game. We'll get to the first things first is the final score. There you go. Miami Dolphins 15, New England Patriots 10. There's Sanders. Had the big day with the field goals, but he did miss one off the upright, and there was a bad snap. Should have been probably 21-10, but they were able to pull it out. Special teams playing a big role in that, and that's big old Calais back there. Got to say what up to him every time you can. So 15-10 the final. The Dolphins get the win, the turning point of the game. We call it the moment. Here is the moment. I thank God when I'm alive. The guys up front decided to dominate. There they go. There they go. Yes, me with the inside-out tee. Only show up for a large fee. There I go. There I go. There I go. All right, so I wish I had just the second half stats for you here, but that's what it turned out to be in this game was the Dolphins' defense just deciding, and their offensive line too, but their defense literally deciding to dominate this game and holding New England. I mean, overall in the first half, New England played really well, but in the second half, they got nothing. So when I'm looking at the New England Patriots drives in the second half, because I can kind of piece them together a little bit, you know, after halftime, they had a field goal, 10 plays, 50 yards, 359. And on that drive, you know what I mean? They just kind of piecemealed it down the field. They had a 7-yard gain, a 16-yard gain, a 6, and a 5, and things like that. But Dolphins defense the rest of the way in the second half. After that 10-play, 59-yard drive, this was the turning point. After that, 3 and out. 3 and out on a punt. 7 plays, punt. 11 plays, turned it over on downs. So it wasn't like the Dolphins defense decided they're going to dominate and dominated. No, they bent but didn't break. That's why I put defense with the C. And you guys are loving the show, so I'll keep it going here. When the guys up front decided to dominate, right, and Mostert decided to dominate as well, carry that football, but they were the beneficiaries of that. When the guys up front decided to dominate, Huntley got a little bit more time to throw, led the team down the field on a big scoring drive when they needed it. Ingold scored on the run. When the guys up front decided to dominate, the Patriots went 3 and out. They weren't picking up big plays anymore. Yeah, they had the one in the end zone with the heel out, but look at that. Look at that right there. That's what he saw all throughout the second half as the Dolphins decided to dominate. And then the final one before we get you out of here, the star of the game. Who do you think should be the star of the game? Let me know in the comments. Put it in the comments right now. Who's going to be the star of the game? I'm not really sure who to pick. I already picked mine, but it was a tough one to pick because Huntley led the game-winning drive. Ingold scored the touchdown. Wright and Mostert each ran for over 80 yards up front. They did really well to allow those running backs to run the way they did. Defensively, they had a couple of guys who played well, but really, there's no star of the game that stood out, right? Was there really a star of the game that stood out? Yes, there was. How could it not be? How could it not be? Think of what he's facing. A third-string quarterback. He doesn't even have Skyler. Hasn't had Mostert all year. Then he loses Achane today. Tyreek Hill, Waddle didn't play throughout the preseason. They've had a ton of injuries up front on the offensive and defensive lines. Mike McDaniel challenge. Make no mistake about it. Make no mistake about it. It's halftime today. They're losing 7-3. They're losing 7-3 at New England to this pathetic Patriots team. This man you see here, Mike McDaniel, went in the locker room and he tore some booty holes up. He did. He let him have it. And his message, whatever that was, and his adjustments, his schemes to run the football, to say, hey, we're going to beat the guy in front of us, where you're going to block one guy and you're going to beat him. That's all you have to do. Too many times, like in baseball, you try to hit a 10-run homer. You can only hit a grand slam. You try to hit a 10-run homer, it's impossible. Same thing in football. All you can do is beat the guy in front of you. Your assignment. That's what Mike McDaniel's great at. That's what he told his team today. And I know he did. 100%, that's what he told his team. So Mike McDaniel, with the adjustments that he made, piecing together that drive with Ingold scoring the touchdown and Huntley bringing them down the field, Mike McDaniel is your star of the game, your Miami Dolphins head coach today, as they pick up a huge win, right? I mean, this is enormous. This win is so big for the Dolphins, guys, and you know this, right? The Tennessee game, look, it was 31-12. The Buffalo game, it was 31-10. You're not winning those games. You can sit there all day long and go, oh, we should have beat Tennessee. No, you shouldn't have. You got waxed by Tennessee. Forget about it. Throw it away. You got a gift against Jacksonville. Buffalo, Seattle, Tennessee, you got waxed. Waxed. No chance to win any of those games. Clear L's. Don't even say if we could have just won one of those. No, you didn't. You weren't close. No chance. Shouldn't have gotten off the bus. Could have saved the trip and the money. Jacksonville, you got the gift. New England, you took it from them. You stole it from them. So you've erased the 3-game losing streak. You've eradicated that stretch where you scored 25 points in 3 games. Your offense still, I mean, look at you haven't scored 20 points, except you scored 20 the first game. You scored 20 the first game, and then it's 10, 3, 12, 15. Your offense is abysmal. Your offense is terrible. But you found a way to win the game, and it's a division game, so it counts as a game and a half. And the Jags game is a conference game, counts even more. Game and a third, game and a quarter. Now you have Indy on the 20th. You got to go in Indy and find a way to win this game. It's got to be the run defense against Taylor. You got to find a way to win this game at Indy. And then you have Arizona at home. Somehow get to 4-3, and who knows about Tua. We'll let you know more as the days and weeks come and go, but also with Kyle Krabs on Locked On Dolphins Postcast. That's all there is, Fins fans. There is no more. Your Locked On Dolphins Postcast on your Sunday. Jim Greasehaber, call me Grease. Huge win, 15-10. Come from behind. They scored the last 13 points in the game. They botched the kicks. They messed up a punt. They had penalties again. But you know what? They found a way to win. When it was gut check time, the defense and the offense, especially up front, said, hey, we are taking control of this game. We're not letting our team go out like that. So they go to 2-3. Nice job by the Fins. Another division win. They get the bye week next week, and then it's on after that. But a big, big win and a way to go into that bye week. And you didn't even want to know what it would have been like otherwise. So that's important, right? You had the Jacksonville win. You had the New England win today. 2 wins. You're 2-3. You're bad without Tua. Who knows what kind of news we'll get about him coming up in these next couple of weeks. He's got at least another game on the shelf. He's going to come back and play. But at the end of the day, and we haven't heard rumblings about Brady or anybody else coming in. So at the end of the day, you have to think Tua's coming back. You have to think the precautions will be put into place. And you have to realize this team could still be damn good. When you look at the rest of the AFC, a lot of teams in that mix, they're going to be in that pack toward the end of the year. We're going to have so many teams stuck within a game or two of each other, and the playoffs right around the corner. And that's going to be really exciting to see how the Dolphins, if Tua's back, are able to handle that. But a huge win today, big gut check for Miami, and they passed it with flying colors. Really excited about this win. The bye next week, Canes have a bye as well. We won't be back on, or I won't be, for a couple of weeks doing a show on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Want to thank you so much for being here, Fins fans. And as always, want to remind you to keep your game tight and your mind right, Miami. I'm out.